Hey, welcome back. It's another episode of Scrum is Hard and Disruptive. It is the podcast series, and I guess YouTube series, with professional Scrum trainers Todd Miller and me, Ryan Ripley. We're taking a look at a white paper Ken Schwaber, co-creator of Scrum, published back in 2006, titled Scrum is Hard and Disruptive. Taking a look at 15 statements that Ken produced about Scrum. And we're seeing if 17 years later they hold up. And so far, Ken is like 8 for 8. And I think he's about to become 9 out of 9.
Yeah.
The focus of using Scrum is the change from old habits to new ways of doing business. Scrum is not implemented or rolled out as a process. It is used to foment change.
I'm going to start. Can I start with the last sentence?
Yeah.
First of all, really great use of semicolon here, Ken.
The semicolon it's a mighty one. Very powerful.
I have to sometimes Google it. Scrum is not implemented or rolled out as a process that is used to foment change. Man, did a lot of people get this wrong.
Oh, well, and let me define the word foment. I had to look it up. So I don't have
to give me the definition. Foment.
Instigate or stir up or some sort of course of action. So to instigate change would be a synonym. I love that. You're provoking, you're instigating, you're stirring to action, right?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to think about it.
It really is. And I think just to keep highlighting that it is not rolled out as a process that is used to foment change. I think that to some extent that's been reversed. It's been used as a process. And then when there's change that is brought about of it, it just goes, well, Scrum's not working for us. Or let's just hire a Scrum Master as a secretary. Or let's change Scrum which was, I forget what principle that was, about changing Scrum to fit our context, not the other way around. Yep. So I unfortunately, we see that quite a bit, and it's still going on, right? How many Scrum teams do we have? If we have 32, it's a measure of success.
It makes me think of an Agile transformation at a financial company that I worked on. And the first thing they did was call in a big box consulting company to write the 400-page manual on how we would implement Scrum.
Yeah.
It's like we're trading one process for another, and the old wine or the new wine ended up tasting like the old wine, Yeah.
And by the way, you have to document all of that in SharePoint.
You're not far off. So, but when people and teams and groups and orgs view Scrum as a process to implement, you end up with maintaining the old habits. You're not adopting a new way of doing business because it's just yet another process. And it's amazing how you can bend a process, a new one, in such a way that it ends up acting just like your old one.
100%. It happens all the time. And this really relates to the last principle that we did. And actually the 7th principle, no, it was the last one. It was 8, where predictive thinking over the last 20 to 30 years, right? So instead of changing those old habits, we just curb Scrum into being the next micromanagement predictive type thing. It's just waterfall in disguise. You hear about that quite a bit.
I once had a really good conversation with a vice president who I reported to, and he was very candid, and I always appreciated that about him. And we sat down and talked, and he said, "Look, Ryan, the Scrum stuff is great. He had his PMP. He was happy to go to all the Agile classes. He's like, look, I know what the rules are today. I know how to work the PMO. I understand the system. I'm just trying to do the same thing here." And he was very honest in that he was going to mold the rules back to what he knows, because that's where, he could maintain control and safety. And there's nothing, it's not a bad thing. It's just how business works. And in some organizations, and that also kind of highlights, Ken used an interesting word here. He said, the focus of using Scrum is the change from old habits to new ways of doing business. It doesn't say of doing IT. It says business.
What's interesting is all these years later, Ryan, we still talk about business and IT, business versus IT. IT is a billable to business.
Yeah.
What in the heck are we doing? Why are we still talking about this segregation of business and IT? Why are we not talking about just business? Why are we not on the same team? IT departments should not be part of accounting departments anymore. It's 2023. Technology rules the world, whether you want to admit it or not.
I couldn't agree more. It's the tail wagging the dog.
It is the tail wagging the dog.
So I think this is another one where
understood that statement. Tail
what's
wagging. That? I never really understood tail wagging the dog.
Yeah. That'll be another video. Or actually, let us know in the comments. What does it mean for the tail to wag the dog? So if you got this far and you leave a comment there, maybe there will be a little prize too. Leave us a nice comment and let us know what that means, and we'll get back to you with something interesting. But this is another one, Todd, where I think Ken nailed it. It's and I think to your previous comment, if they stopped looking at it as IT versus business, they would actually have to change something.
Yeah.
I think it's the resistance to change. But I think Ken was clear here. It's a new way of doing business, not just a new way of managing projects or a new way of doing IT.
Yeah.
So critical to understand this, right? It is not rolled out as a process. It is a instigator of change in your org, and it should be used that way. It should be disruptive, and it should be hard to work through. All right. I think that's it for this one. You got anything else there, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, nothing else, Ryan.
Awesome. Well, then I have an end screen. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the socials. Some new videos are popping up. Actually, they're old videos, but it's a new pop-up. It's our Scrum 101 course and our EBM course. Check them out. Please dig into them. We'd love for you to become very good at both. Let us know in the comments what you think of this idea and the others that we've shared. Hit the bell, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. For Todd, I'm Ryan. Scrum on. Don't be discouraged. Scrum is hard and disruptive, but in the end, I think you get to a better place. All right, we'll see you next time.